you, Mr. President. I've accepted that it's being recorded. Thank you. And my pleasure, I have great pleasure of introducing our speaker today. And he has a big bio, but I've truncated it to just about 6 pages. So you'll bear with me. William Alexander Mcdonald. He is a transferred member of the Rotary Club of Barbados since the year 2000. He actually was president of that club in 2014-15. He's a PHF fellow since 2011. Very importantly, he's a very successful businessman across a wide range of industry. And I'm happy to say that our club has a number of those, and you're in good company. He's been the head of the equivalent of KEPSA. And I'm sure as you stay on here, Alex, you will get to hear about KEPSA. And the KEPSA for Barbados is called Barbados Private Sector Association. He was the head for 4.5 years. He's worked with the government, including being a board member of Barbados National Oil Company and many others that I will not bore you with. He's a graduate of the University of West Indies in public sector and law. He is the ambassador in Kenya and permanent representative of Barbados. Alex is married to Selena, and I'm not shrubbing, it is Selena. And a father to 2 beautiful girls, Emma and Haley. And I know that Alex would like to talk about his whole issue of being a master, a team and performance coach. And he'd like to bring that. With the induction, it was quite clear that he likes dancing and is a good dancer. And in fact, Susan has already propositioned that he brings in Rihanna in Susan's year. And I'm sure he's going to agree. In terms of coaching, you'll be in good hands of Sally Gitoho and others who coach in the club. And I will stop my 7-page introduction and welcome Alex to speak to us. Thank you.
Thank you, past President David and President Gideon, distinguished past presidents, Rotarians of Barbados. It's a name that evokes beautiful Caribbean scenes and oceans of sand really, and beautiful water, blue water. The topic today is open for business and open for pleasure. I had a little video that I'm hoping that we can show that would just kind of set us off on the right foot so that you can see where I speak. I don't know if President Gideon, if we could hit that video and go. I don't have it keyed up, so I'm hoping that we have it here. If not, just let me know that one.
Ritesh had asked you to help us share it. Are you a host? Let me make you co-host. Sorry, Rotarian Alex, I am not as well versed as Rotarian Ritesh on this.
I am less well versed than you.
Ritesh, are you a host already?
No, I'm not. But
President Alex, Ambassador Alex is already a co-host, so he can share it himself.
No, I think he has requested for help. Oh, you can share it, Alex?
No, I didn't queue. So we'll go on.
Okay.
Maybe at the end we can, if somebody will queue it, that I sent it and just play it. So no one knows really when the island was first settled, but we do know that it was settled by people, Indians, an indigenous Indian called Caribs and Arawak from South America as they migrated from South America up the island chain up to Cuba over several hundreds of years. In that time, the island was called Ichigurana, which means red face and white teeth. And if you saw the island from the east coast, you'll understand why the earth on the east coast is red and it's surrounded by coral reefs, which are the white teeth. So the Caribs called it Ichiguranan. In 1511, Portuguese sailors passing by on the west coast of the island. Now, understand the island is huge. I'll tell you how huge it is shortly. Saw these bearded fig trees, and they called it Los Barbados, meaning the bearded ones. Some people think it was in relation to the bearded Caribs that they saw, which were a unique set of Caribs, which are the indigenous people. But by the time in 1511, there were no residents living on the island at that time. So by 1511, people had started to map it. But by 1627, the first of those perennial British came, and they put down roots, and they never left. So Barbados has the history of being one of the only colonial islands in the Caribbean that never changed hands. And as a result, it is seen to be very, very British in everything that it does. So much so that it used to be called Little Britain. And if you go through the island, you will see things like Buckingham Hill, Prince William Henry Street, Queen Victoria Square, Elizabeth Drive, lots of hearkening back to the royal family. Place names in the island also speak to a very, very British orientation. So Ipswich and those kinds of names are very common. And Barbadians feel that they are theirs, so much so that when they go to Britain, they would say, oh, you have one of those here too, as if we gave them the name. So we are very proud of our British past. And obviously, we share that same type of colonial history with Kenya. Now, I would like to just tell you a few little things about the island. So many people don't know where it is. So people think it is Jamaica I'm speaking about, or it's a county of Jamaica. It's not. It's its own island. As I told you before, it is massive. It's 166 square miles big. Just for comparison, so you can see how big we are, Kenya is 224,000 square miles big. So our 169,000 square miles, you can understand that I'm thinking that we may be as big as the smallest county by half. So, but having said that, little size does not really account for who we are. There are 300,000 of us on the island, and there are 50 million Kenyans in Kenya. So whatever rate you're looking at, it's 166 times this size. Kenya, like us, has had a colonial past. Kenya was made, got its independence in 1964, Barbados in 1966. What we are, because of our long colonial history and from 1627, we have the third oldest parliament in the world. Parliament in the sense of how it is made up. We were never really ruled by the British in the sense that other colonial territories were. We always had a parliament made up of local people who governed themselves. The British governor provided military support, but never capital support in terms of aid. So the third oldest parliament in the world, the first person or the first place to make rum. We are the home country to popular belief in the Rotary Chat of the best cricketers in the world. If anybody follows cricket in any form, and I just sent a little graphic in our Rotary Chat, they will know the name Sir Gary Sobers. Sir Gary Sobers is by far, without any measure, the best all-round cricketer the world has ever seen. And we don't talk about Malcolm Marshall, Desmond Hayes, Gordon Greenidge, Joel Garner, the rest of them. You'll see on the graphic we have produced more cricketers per capita of international standing than any place in the world. So I think that one of our first outreaches is to send a cricket team to Kenya to bring them along a little bit to help. And we love that. Our GDP is $18,000 US per person, $18,798 per person. And our Human Development Index is 0.814, which puts it in the very, very high Human Development Index. Comparisons are where they are, but that's who we are. 99% literacy rate with no Barbadian paying for education up to the university, up to your first degree. So you will get primary, secondary, and university or tertiary education free. And you will not pay for healthcare either. So the government pays for all of those. The trade-off, of course, is that taxation, personal income tax, and other taxation is pretty high. Tax enforcement is good and high, and Barbadians generally pay their taxes because of the standard of living that they wish to maintain. So what's special about us? Well, in our video, I was going to show you some of the images of the island that you would have seen. But I can tell you, one of the most famous persons that you know from Barbados is this person. And if you don't know who that is Rihanna herself. Rihanna grew up in a little part of our town called Westbury, and she went to a school called Combermere. I think I see one of our past presidents' hands up.
Just go on. We'll take those. We'll attend to that after your talk.
She went to a school called Combermere, which was founded in 1695. It's 327 years old. I happen to go to that school myself. So the history of education is long and deep. So any school that's been around for 327 years cannot understand where the island is itself. We have a festival in August called Crop Over, which is a carnival. Crop Over harkens back to the days of slavery when the cane crop was finished. The slaves would have a big kadooment or tadument. And to this day, we have a festival called Kadooment, in which it is probably, by Bajan's assessment, Bajans are short form for Barbadians, which they think is probably the best carnival in the world, bar none. Brazil, they would say, takes a close second, but ours is the best. As you can see, we're people full of ourselves and we love what we do. So the thing of open to pleasure it's something that is so natural to us because pleasure is our business and business is our pleasure. Tourism is the #1 industry of the island, and the type of tourism that Barbados has traditionally had has been the type of tourism that has been low impact, high revenue. If you had seen the video, you would have understood why. The island is small, but it is intensely beautiful. Where our good friend Dr. Beatrice went, it's called Royal Westmoreland, and I think she could tell you that it was certainly not by any means infra-dig. The fact that you went there, I have to tip my hat to you, ma'am, because Royal Westmoreland is certainly the name, it says it all, Royal Westmoreland. And if you were able to buy a shirt there, then you probably saved up for a year or two to be able to buy it because it's not cheap. Everything in the island is high quality, geared to pleasure and geared to make you want to come back. What it does not mean is that the island is what we would consider cheap. It is extremely good value for money. And in that way, businesses have come to Barbados by the thousands for a couple of reasons. Since the 1970s, Barbados has distinguished itself in financial services for Canadian, European, and American companies. Now, we used to call this the offshore sector, but offshore sector has a bad reputation now in kind of the Panama Papers and these islands that hide away money from drug lords. But Barbados has never been in that business. Barbados has always approached its financial services through treaty regulations. Happy for you, Barbados signed a double taxation agreement with Kenya a year or two ago in 2018 when the Prime Minister came here. Double taxation treaties are interesting. It says that if you are taxed in one place, you can't be taxed in the other place. So if a Kenyan company incorporated a business in Barbados as a holding company and its profits were taxed there, they could repatriate the profit back to Kenya without incurring Kenyan taxes. I'm not sure what corporation tax in Kenya is. Maybe somebody could tell me what the top end of corporation tax is. I suspect it's somewhere around 30%, 40%. The corporation tax in Barbados for companies over $5 million is 2%. And at your entry point, even if you're earning $100,000 US in profit, the corporation tax is 5%. So anybody who's running a business, I urge you to think about how could you take advantage of that double taxation agreement. What it means is that you can repatriate most of your money back to Kenya and invest it in your business. We also do captive insurance, where we insure companies without having to go to third-party insurances, so that all those premiums that you spend in insurance premiums are reinvested back into your company after 3 years of non-claiming, which is also a taxable break for your company. Barbados is known to be an incubator of creative thought. Many large companies create small incubator companies in the island to see how ideas and products work. So we've had companies that make fine lenses as an experiment, but then decided to headquarter their business there because of the expertise of the people. 99% literacy rate with a graduate nearly in every household speaks about the quality of work that we can do. Barbados also has one of the finest cottons in the world, called Sea Island cotton. The average length, I'm going to just say a number, I'm not sure. The average length of a cotton fiber is an inch. The Barbados cotton fiber is 5 inches long, and therefore it becomes a very, very silky product, and it sells at astronomical rates across the world. I'm hoping that some Kenyan spinners and weavers will use this wonderful cotton in these shukas and create exotic Maasai shukas for sale in Kenya from Bajan products. The one product that the world knows the Caribbean for, and Barbados especially as the place that created it, is this. I'm not sure if you can see. These are rums. This is a rum called Mount Gay Extra Old. This is Plantation Extra Old. This is St. Nicholas Abbey. St. Nicholas Abbey is only one of 2 Georgian homes in existence anywhere in the world. And the plantation makes a rum that honors that. And the granddaddy of my collection right now is this one. This is Maltgate 1703. And you can tell these things are granddaddies because when you open the bottles and boxes, you can see these rums. I've looked at rums in Kenya, and all rum is good rum. All rum is good drink. The best drink in the world. It's made from cane, made from sugar, natural. But these rums, each one of them retails for about maybe 50 US and up. This rum retails for 450 United States dollars. And it's made only in that island. This rum, when you're buying alcohol, the certification and so on that you get to prove it, because trust me, anyone that comes into your house and says, yes, I'll have some of that with some Coke, you tell them, okay, can you leave now? You're not going to waste your rum on that. We're known for solar power. Since the 1970s, most Barbadian homes have solar water heaters on their roof, to the point where probably 90% of all water heated is done through solar. The government of Barbados has said that by 2030, all of its energy will be created from renewable sources, which is solar, wind, wave action, and hydrogen. Real estate is another industry because the wealthy of the world want to live there. And why do they want to live there? Political stability. Crime is very low. Last year we had 18 murders. And if you segment out the 18 murders, many of the murders were between persons that knew each other in terms of quarrels or disputes. Crimes against other people are very low, principally because we know who you are. And another wonderful set of businesses that we're doing, and we're seeing a lot happening now, especially in the last couple of months, are joint ventures between African nations and our island. And we do have, I think, maybe about 30 Kenyans in the island now, either setting up companies or looking to invest within companies. And we do have Barbadian businessmen who are coming to Kenya for an investment look. What we do have are lots of assets, but little to invest it in, so we're looking to invest across the world. One of the things that I think that we can really benefit with each other from, and speaking as a Rotary Club, I'd love for my club to liaise with the Barbados Rotary Club. There are three clubs. My old club was the Rotary Club of Barbados, and I'd love for the Rotary Club in Nairobi. I've already spoken to my president, my president Gideon. I have to remember with my current president and my old president, President Robin. Given the time difference, we have to have a lunch meeting and a meeting at the same time, exchange visit, to do some type of project that both of us can share, either an exchange and then a reciprocal visit. But just getting to know each other is critical, because I would think that many people, when they think of the Caribbean, they think of rum and hammock. And people, when they think of Africa, they think of lions. So people want to know how the lions treating me, and saying, well, they're quite far away, so it's all right. But areas of sport, I think we can share a lot. And education, culture, and tourism, those are things that we have a common passion for. And then, of course, business. How can we create corporate links and so on? The motto of the island is pride in this industry, which speaks to how Barbadians feel and see themselves. In the Caribbean, we are known as smart men. Smart men is not necessarily a phrase. It means the Barbadians fancy themselves smart. And they always like to think that they know a little bit better than everyone else. And there's a story that says an Englishman, a Barbadian, and a Kenyan were in an excavation. They were each doing their own excavations in their own territories. And the Englishman dug down about 100 to the level where it'd be 120 years ago. And he found copper wire buried in the earth. And he announced that it was proof of English dominance because they had copper communications. So the Kenyan, a little bit missed, started hearing about the English. He dug down to about 200 years, where it'd be 200 years, and he found, or he claimed to have found fiber optics. And the Kenyan government announced that Kenya, 200 years ago, had fiber optics. Now, the Barbadian, being very proud, was very missed. So he dug down to 300 years and he found nothing. He dug another 10, 15 years to the level of 10, 15 years. He again found nothing. But he announced that the island had wireless communication and therefore was far in advance of everyone else. That's a very corny joke, but it expresses to you the Barbadian philosophy of trying to be best at everything. Our diplomatic motto has been for the last 50 years, friends of all, satellites of none. It means that we have played our part in the non-aligned movement. We've tried to be as fair as we can in terms of not aligning with any interest other than our own. Barbados, from around the 1930s, has been a friend of Kenya through the presidency of His Excellency Jomo Kenyatta, where the founding father of our island, Grantley Adams, and him formed a CARICOM Africa Student Union in Oxford, where they discussed the ideas of Pan-Africanism. And Pan-Africanism in those days meant everyone from the diaspora and Africa. And it is, the irony is that Jomo Kenyatta's son and the leader of the government that Grantley Adams formed have formed a relationship that has carried the two countries together almost 50 years later, having not realized that. Our job as the inheritors of that legacy that was laid down is to now make real the promises of Jomo Kenyatta, Grantley Adams. And I hope that this short talk to give you a very broad taste of the island has whet your appetite, either to ask questions so I can answer them, or to get yourself on a plane and come down and see, like Dr. Beatrice has done. She's smiling so broadly because I think she realizes she shares a secret with myself and Harriet Visser, that only the three of us know how beautiful and how wonderful the island really is. Rotarian, guest, past president, and President Gideon. I'll stop there and answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rotarian and past President Alex. Past President Ritesh is going to share your video. Says it's a 30-second video. So let's have it, past President Ritesh.
Sure.
What I would advise, just hold on, Ritesh. Or play, just play, then I can give my instructions on how we'll proceed later. Just go on. Okay, let me do this. Let me do this because I want us to flow immediately. Now, Rotarian Alex, I'd request you take a piece of paper and pen, and we will take all the questions at one go, and then you will respond to all of them. And I already see 2 hands raised. That helps me in sequencing. So if you have a question to ask, please just raise your hand and I'll get to you. Thank you. So Ritesh, the floor is yours. Sorry. Yes.
Can you play the video so that at least the questions would be based on...
Yes. Yes, they'll play the video first, and then we take the questions, or you'd want to comment before we take the questions?
No, video, then questions, and then I would
Perfect.
respond if I can.
Ritesh, do the honors, thanks.
Thank you. Just a moment. So just a moment, please. Kindly give me a moment.
You don't have any sound, but the visuals are enough for your ears.
I'm sure Ritesh will fix it.
Just a moment.
As you fix it, Ritesh, I want to welcome everyone.
Right, so here we
We're
go.
looking forward to.
Sorry, I'll just play the video. Just a moment.
And share it, because we're not seeing it. Perfect.
For the memories you will always relive, the secrets you can't wait to share, the moments that will last a lifetime. Come join us in Barbados, the island of fresh, unforgettable flavors, unexpected adventure, open arms and open hearts. This is our Barbados, and we're looking forward to sharing it with you. Barbados.
Would you like me to play it once again since the 30
please. Yeah, just please play it once again.
Sure.
For the memories you will always relive, the secrets you can't wait to share, the moments that will last a lifetime. Come join us in Barbados, the island of fresh, unforgettable flavors, unexpected adventure, open arms and open hearts. This is our Barbados, and we're looking forward to sharing it with you. Barbados.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Want to hear President Gideon some music. Thank you, Ritesh, past President. So you heard Rihanna. This is another something that you should listen to because Kenyans love music. That's soca music.
I can see
I'm sure someday in our club, I'll show you how we actually move to that. Sure.
I could see Beatrice shake her head. So thank you very much, Rotarian Alex. Manu, you'll go first, then Josephine, and then Margareta, and then Mike Eldon, in that order. Manu, your question?
Yeah, my question is that there is one Chandaria in Barbados. Kapoor Chandaria. That's all.
There are actually three. The moment your brother is there and his son.
Oh,
it's my cousin.
Oh, wow.
Your cousin is there and his son. Sunir and his dad are there at the moment.
That's right. Sunir is also another one, yeah. But you visit, but Kapoor lives there.
And Kapoor is well known. He is a friend of the island, and we're a friend of his.
Thank you.
Manu, are you doing some business there? Because I'm told you have all over the world.
Some business, but the main business is this family's Kapoor is not exactly in my family. It's another Chandaria family, and the main people go to Barbados and Bermuda is to hold the money.
Okay.
If you got some extra money, then let me know. I'll ask him to tell you.
Okay, President-elect Josephine.
Thank you. I'm looking for my buttons. I want to thank High Commissioner Alex Mcdonald for a very captivating presentation. I'm looking forward to not only those of us who visit Barbados, but what we'll do after that visit. You know, we really need to put projects in place. And on that segue, I want to first congratulate you and your government for having abolished constitutional monarchy not too long ago. I mean, if there's anything you've contributed to the Caribbean as a country or a member state, that is something that will go down in history. It was a very brave move, and yet you have still managed to nurture and keep in place the history of the Commonwealth today and the British colonial empire of the past. But with that particular comment on the British colonial empire of the past, I want to ask if you just comment on transatlantic slavery and its impact on persons or people of African descent, and then speak specifically about the efforts you have made as a people of Barbados and of the Caribbean to narrow the gaps between yourself and Africa in order that we can embark on true friendship without any hangovers, without history in between ourselves as people, genuinely engaging and building Africa, where Africa is not a geography. Africa is not one person or one color of person, but it's an identity that brings us together at the table. Thank you. And I'm delighted to have you in our club, and I recognize you, High Commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you. Beautiful question, Josephine. We will go next to Margareta, Rotarian Dr. Margareta.
Yes, thank you very much. I also want to commend the High Commissioner for Barbados. It was a fascinating presentation, and you enlightened us tremendously about your island. I was particularly impressed with what you said about solar energy, and I'd love for you to give us a little explanation of that. And also you talked about your coral reefs. I wanted you to tell us about the health of your coral reefs, because we hear, for example, in Australia, that the coral reef, the great coral reef, is dying. So we'd like to know what you are doing to sustain and retain the life of your reefs. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mike Eldon, Past President.
Thanks, Gideon. And I'm here with Evelyn Mungai, Alex, my wife, who was our First Lady member, I think only 1 century ago, in the last century. And so it's great to have you as a member, first of all. We used to have in our Rotary Club, which I joined in 1978, I think it's only Manu who's here today who was a member before then. We used to have a lot of ambassadors, and we've been missing that community. So it's good to be reintegrated into the diplomatic community, and that will bring interesting opportunities for partnership. My question is to ask you how you are spending most of your time. What are your priorities here as the ambassador to Barbados? And is it UNEP, Habitat? Is it other things? Is it the Africa, Caribbean, Pacific activity? What occupies your mind mostly?
Okay. Are there any other questions for President Gideon?
Yes, there is a Past President Jessica.
I'm trying to figure this one out. I've been out of commission for a while. Mute, rename, Jessica Stablet, lower hand. Okay. I would like to, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Thank you, President Gideon. I'd like to welcome Ambassador Alex to our club. We're very delighted that you're joining us. I won't go through what others have already said, but my questions are very quick. I was going to ask about the coral reef, but I'll rephrase it as climate change. How has climate change affected the Caribbean industry of tourism? That's one. Two, the rum that you make. We have very good sugarcane, both in Kenya, Uganda, and we would love to be able to produce a super top-notch rum from East Africa, not just Kenya, East Africa. I think that would really encompass the regional integration and bring friendship and no competition. And I think thirdly, I'm familiar with the rum. I don't remember. Does it give you a hangover? And thirdly, and finally, Mr. Alex, can you explain to us why people from Barbados are referred to as Bayesians? At least you two other members, because I think I'm aware of that. Bayesians. Barbados people are called Bayesians. Thank you.
Thank you. Alex, I have no idea whether Jessica is planning to overindulge in the rum, because people asking for avoidance of a hangover.
Oh yes, when can we sample? When is he going to have a sampling meeting?
One rum is $450, Madam Past President. Alex, the floor is yours.
Sure, thank you. Thank you. There's one thing I just forgot to point out to you. That's what the flag looks like. It's very unique. I can remember when I wore my flag, people thought it was from Ukraine, because what they saw was that it was flying. So it's a broken trident. So the blue is the water, the yellow are the sand and the generosity of the people's hearts, which are like gold. And the black trident, the color is black, 99.9% of the people are black. And the trident represents the break from Britannia, who had a trident. So the broken trident is demonstrating the break from the British colonial past. So there are lots of very interesting questions, and thank you all very much for asking them. And I'll take the first one first. Transatlantic slavery. So most of the slaves that were taken that have gone to the Caribbean came from West Africa or were embarked in West Africa. It doesn't mean that that's where they came from. Slaves were taken throughout the Congo Basin from as far away as East Africa and made a several-year journey across to the coast of West Africa, where they were then sold. One of the things I like to tell people all the time is that Africa did not export slaves to the Caribbean, and neither were we slaves. We were enslaved, and there's a big difference. Africa exported the best and strongest of its man and woman power, the fittest, the tallest, the hardest built, the scientists and scholars, the people who were warriors who were taken and other people wanted to get rid of them. It makes sense if you think about it. If the British were doing a raid on Slave Coast or anywhere, they wouldn't choose the weakest. They wouldn't choose the short, they choose the strongest. So in taking slaves, over 20 million of them over the 300 years that slavery lasted, it meant that Africa itself was diminished by the slave trade because its best were also taken out. It doesn't mean that the Caribbean is better. What it means is that several million of those people who were taken died on that journey. And very few of them survived. And the tragedy of slavery is that there were no winners. One person, one set of people won. And you can see the victory of their winnings in places like LaSalle's house in Britain and Devon, which is one of the largest country houses, and named after a Bajan planter, who is the first cousin of Queen Elizabeth. He became so rich that he was able to almost buy the entire county of Devon. And there was a term at one time as rich as a West Indian planter. As rich as a West Indian planter. It was a sign of the wealth that you would have if you were a West Indian planter. You made so much money from sugar because English people in those days were addicted to it. They put sugar in everything. They preserved everything with it. They did everything with it. And as a result, the price of sugar was so high that it funded most of the great houses, most of the armies, most of everything that happened in Britain and in Europe was funneled and funded by sugar. The issue of reparations occupies us now. What do we do? What do we do when the fruit of our labor for 300 years, which was never paid for, repatriated, repatriated back to Britain, to the metropole, that built the metropole, and then we got nothing. Time does not make it right. Time doesn't say, well, oh, that's 200 years ago. It means that then for 200 years, we've not gotten justice. Equally, on the African side, the best of you were also taken. It means that there is something there that needs to have some kind of dialogue. The big question is, how are reparations to be paid? The school that I went to, 300 years old, was given as a grant by one of the largest planters in the world, the Draxes, Richard Drax, as a school to educate the poor whites. And then it became the poor blacks, and then the poor blacks and whites. But he gave a set of money and something. He was called Lord Combermere. His name was Richard Drax. That's not enough. His family actually just paid £7 or £8 million to the actual school to fund an educational scholarship. But what our past president, Josephine, spoke about was through the global African. We are committed to the idea that Africa is not a geography, Africa is a state of mind, Africa is a state of consciousness, so that the global African is all persons of African descent, no matter where they live. Brazil has the largest proportion of Africans in the world outside of Africa. America, Britain, or Europe, the Caribbean. How do we engage those? And that's what's occupying in relation to one of the questions I think that was asked, what do I do? That's what's occupying a lot of our time. How do we engage with Africa finally, not in a transactional way, but in a meaningful, deep, cultural, philosophical way that gets us where we need to go. So the coral reefs, and I'll also talk about climate change and tourism. Coral reefs in the islands suffer, not because we're bad. Coral reefs in the islands suffer because global warming means that the fine balance that corals need to have in order to thrive affects them. So the oceans are warming up. Sargassum seaweed is growing at a disproportional rate. Climate change means that when I was a kid in the 80s, we would have one major hurricane a year and a couple of storms. Last year, we had 7 hurricanes of category 5 capacity. Now, we never knew that there was a category 5 designation. Category 4 was rare and category 3 was what we would deal with, but category 5 in less than 30 years has now become a designation, and 7 of those have passed through the Caribbean. And that's due to climate change. And to be quite honest, and show you the link between them, one of the exacerbating reasons is that the Sahara dust that is thrown up into the atmosphere becomes a vector for forming storms as it crosses the Atlantic Ocean. So the harmattan, as it blows across the desert, pushes the dust in the air. We can actually see it coming. We can see Sahara dust. And the island, I think, every year gets about 100 tons of Sahara dust every year dropped on it. But when that interacts with the ITCZ, the convergent zone, the dust, it builds in these cyclical storms that then are generated. So that's what's happening in there. We have to deal with that. Everybody, I think, ought to know of the name of Mia Mottley, the Prime Minister of our island, who has really championed the climate change, the rooster reef, the habitat, UNEP, all of those agencies Ms. Mottley has taken on the reins and has really dominated the conversation about small island developing states. On the matter of solar, in 1971, I think, almost, Professor Headley from the University of the West Indies developed the very first solar water heater in the world. He was a pioneer, where you took copper tubes, heated them by the sun, and then you put them on the glass, and then, and as a result, we have a very, very sophisticated solar water heater plant. We manufacture, make, install, service those heaters. I'd love to see more of them in Kenya. We are blessed with 365 days of sunshine. Kenya, I see, is about maybe 300 days. I've seen some very cloudy days, but most Barbadians heat their water. I mean, it does have the wonderful effort effect of cutting down on your other bills, your heating bills, and so on. Water, although we not think it gets cold, it does get cold, but we love our warm water to bathe in. What do I do on a daily basis? Obviously, the United Nations agenda is high on our mission. That's probably the main reason that we're here, to advance our interests within the talking about the United Nations environmental program. Our Prime Minister's taken a leading role. She was made champion of the environment last year, 2021, by UNEP, by Inga Anderson, one of 3 people who were so awarded by UNEP in his history. African Union relations, also talking about the global African, and how we integrate the African Union and CARICOM initially. That's another thing I do. And then one of the most important things is how can we create mutual understanding, brotherly love between Kenya and our island, the Caribbean, obviously first, but Barbados more importantly. That's my role. That's the Barbados flag there. This is the CARICOM flag, the Caribbean community. And then also looking for areas that we can mutually cooperate. And I also have responsibility for Ethiopia, Uganda, Rwanda, Malawi, Tanzania, South Africa, Botswana, 13 nations, the African Union, UNEP, and UNEA. The Prime Minister says if you're here, you have to work. So every day is working. Rum made in Kenya and Uganda. Making rum, high quality rum, not only from cane, it's really from molasses, which is a byproduct of making sugar. And the quality of the molasses drives the quality of the rum. One of the major projects that I would love to see is exporting Bajan know-how, Barbadian know-how into East Africa to make a high quality rum. And I would advise that anybody who's interested, stay close to that page because I don't think it's far away from making it happen. Do you get a hangover from rum? No. Yes, no. Of course. Of course you do. Rum greets you in the morning and greets you in the night. Depends on how you greet rum, it will greet you back. So the hair of the dog is always the way to do it. If you're feeling a little bit bad from rum, always just take a little bit more. You stop feeling badly about it after whatever. Why are we
forget feeling altogether?
Well, you never actually. What the key is to never actually come out of that. When you're feeling bad, never stop feeling bad. Just drink it all the time. As they say, at home, there are about 4,000 churches, and 4,000 churches means that there are about 4,000 rum shops, because outside of every church there's a rum shop. So as the priest is getting a little too passionate, the men of the church usually have to go outside for a moment to see about their car, and they will be usually found in the rum shop across the road, which is never open on a Sunday, by the way. You have to go around the back. Bajans are called Bajans because Bajans are called Bajans. Barbadians, Barbadians, a real Barbadian calls it Barbados. The island is actually called Barbados, Barbadian, and therefore Bajan. So that's the derogation of the word. I hope I've answered all your questions in a reasonable amount of time. I'd be happy to take any more if anybody has, but I do think your time is running out.
You've done well. We still have another maybe 10 minutes. So I'll still welcome questions. But what I want to say is I think you've handled the issues well. You started off by saying Barbados basically was an island dominated by Indians before the Africans came. If I got you right, probably what is the population like?
Not Indians.
Sorry?
Native Indians. So the
yes, native Indians. Are they still there, or I mean, what is the population percentage-wise? I mean, their representation percentage-wise in the population.
They're non-existent now. The English did a wonderful job of introducing smallpox and chickenpox, which people to them not having immunity, a relatively simple disease, syphilis, gonorrhea, chickenpox, smallpox, wiped them out. And in most parts of the Caribbean, that is the story. They were not able, especially in places like South America, the Spanish were not able to conquer the Aztecs, the Mayans, and the Incas. What they couldn't do by force of arms, they did by force of disease. There's a wonderful book by Malcolm Gladwell called Guns, Germs, and Steel, which explains the domination of the European powers. They either did it by guns, they did it by germs, or they did it by having the invention of steel. So germs in our case wiped out the last of the Amerindians.
Wow. I found Josephine's questions extremely great. Probably what she didn't say is that she has served as the Assistant Secretary General of the Commonwealth, which I think we all belong to together with Barbados. And
so can I just add, President, actually Deputy Secretary General, not Assistant, Deputy. And if you give me one moment, yeah, Deputy is a representation of, I am in that post, I was the immediate representative of the Secretary General and in charge of all technical areas. And Alex will tell you that all high commissioners would actually, in terms of organogram, it would be through the Deputy Secretary General to the Secretary General. And the Secretary General is third in line to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth. So it was a very senior, I think it's the most senior diplomatic position that Kenya has ever held in history. And great for the service of our country, but also because I got to visit all Commonwealth countries, including Barbados. And I'm delighted that Alex is here. And President Gideon, we are looking forward to Alex bringing together, and with my support, the Commonwealth family to visit us during next year, perhaps under the theme of World Understanding Day. So, Rotarian High Commissioner Alex, that is one of the things we'd like you to do. And I think Senior Rotarian Mike Eldon has actually alluded to that. Thank you, President Gideon.
It will be New Year. We look forward to a great World Understanding Fellowship in February. So we'll hold you to that, President-elect Josephine. Go ahead, the past President Alex.
Commonwealth Heads is in Rwanda in June of this year. My Prime Minister, I believe, will be passing through here on her way there. So is it those times, and even now, that we would start talking about our diasporic relations? I am right now in contact with the University of West Indies to form an intellectual colloquium between the universities in Kenya and ultimately in Africa and the University of West Indies, which covers all the Caribbean islands. Start talking about the concept of the global African and how we can, through the economics, trade, culture, and all of those things, spur this diaspora link. We try to do one in Africa, one in the Caribbean, every other year. We're in intellectual debate these ideas and then try to put them into policy, practical steps that we can take such as eliminating trade barriers, eliminating work visas, eliminating visas to each other, and so on. So that when Africans, I remember I was here and I had a journalist call me and he was in tears. He said, Alex, I've just come into Kenya and I had the most moving time. He came in and a junior immigration officer asked him for his visa. No, the junior immigration officer did not know that we have a visa waiver. So we don't need visas to go to each other. And he called his senior over. He says, this fellow from the Caribbean doesn't have a visa. And the immigration officer, who was senior, obviously knew what the arrangement was. He says, my brother, you don't have to ask him for a visa. He is family coming home. And that moved the journalist to tears because he said, you know, typically anytime Caribbean people travel or African people travel anywhere, it's always a big set of questions about how long you're staying here, are you working? There's a one set of questions. He was very moved. He was very moved by that comment about enlightened Kenya, who made the entry into Kenya that much better for him. I can tell you that I have found my entry into Kenya to be wonderful. I found Kenyans to be lovely human beings, except for one, as a fellow called Gideon something. He's
okay. You need to clear the air with a something name, because the Rotary Club of Nairobi president is Gideon.
Something. I was no, it was you. I said it was you. For sure.
I hear you. We have two. I'll take two last questions. Dr. Beatrice, and then again, past President Jessica. Okay, yeah, I'll create a slot for one more. So I'll take three, but two have their hands raised up. Beatrice, go first.
Thank you very much, and thank you for a fantastic presentation, and also the opportunity to go back down memory lane from Oyster Fish Market to Sandy Lane. So thank you for the video, that was wonderful. I'm curious because of course we've all just perhaps seen the worst of the pandemic season. I wonder how that affected Barbados, the beautiful country that it is and the wonderful people that they are. Because my recollection is that they're very sociable and very interactive. And so it would have affected lifestyles across the board. But also I'm a little curious about the healthcare system and how that was able to cope with the pandemic situation. And I shall be a little naughty and ask a second question, which is, have you had a chance to sample the sand in East Africa? And would you be able to give an honest opinion as to which is more fine and whiter between the Barbados sand and the Kenyan sand? Because I think ours is whiter, but I'm only slightly biased.
President Jessica.
Thank you, Gideon, President Gideon. There's a lot of background communication going on, Rotarian Alex, about interest in going to visit Barbados at some future time. Let's organize something, everybody's saying, and I would like to know, there's a lot of turbulence during the months of October in some of the islands I visited, Anguilla, San Juan, Saint Martin, and I think that it would be good to advise us on what's the best time to go and perhaps guide and assist us in that endeavor. I think they are serious. I certainly am. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Probably just one more question from me. Jessica, you can lower your hand. Now, from the videos, I noticed those ladies in the video are extremely beautiful. And since you have allowed one naughty question from Beatrice, allow me to put in a naughty question also. Are those the standard features of the women from Barbados, or those were models? Thank you.
So thank you. So I'll answer that question first. The picture that you saw is a picture at our carnival time. So they're not models. They are who they are on the road doing what they normally do. And in our videos, we usually try to choose the ugly girls because if you really put the very pretty girls on, everybody would come one time. So we try to moderate it a little bit. The other thing is COVID. COVID has hit the island. I mean, devastating. The reason is the government shut the island down. Not only in terms of economic activity, but in terms of travel into and out of. And if you are a tourist, you can't get in. One of the things that the government did, though, initially was to institute what is called a welcome stamp. The welcome stamp was for anybody who wanted for a year to come to Barbados, which had very low COVID rates, managed itself, paid a couple thousand US and relocated themselves to the islands to remain safe with their families. We thought it was a very cute marketing tool, but it turned out to be an absolutely strong commercial tool. Thousands of people came from Britain, United States. I had the pleasure of meeting the head of Facebook, the diversity group, who brought her whole team down. Google, well, I don't want to name the names of people, but top people from Silicon Valley just decamped to the island. And the reason they could do that is because the quality of the internet, the quality of life, the safety generally of just being there, and then the COVID management protocols. So right now, about 75% of the island has had a booster shot. So it's first, second, and third shot. We do have the COVID deniers. We do have the vaccine pundits and so on, people for whatever reason. But 75 is not a bad number. And that's where your education system pays off the dividends. If you have people who are well educated and understand, then they're able to reason for themselves and not get bogged down with what's going on with that. The sand comparisons are ugly. I just think that both countries have wonderful sand. And I think that it is as soft as your skin allows it to be soft. So if you have found Kenyan sand to be soft, you have wonderful soft Kenyan skin. And I'll leave it there. But I will say that we're comparing things that are almost the same. Beautiful white Bajan sand and beautiful white Kenyan sand. Lovely. Why don't you come down and see, and I'll go to there and I'll see. And then when is the best time to go? Depends on what you want. The height of the tourism season is really what we call the tourism season is from November to April. But that's when every single wealthy British, American, and Canadian are there because the winter in Britain and Europe and so on is biting, and they want to come down to their villas. And Rotarian Beatrice will tell you the villas in Barbados are stunning. I think the word, and I think Rotarian Josephine would also tell you that you will never see places like that. I'll tell you, people would have bought a villa for $10 million and flattened it because they wanted to create a proper driveway for their other villa, which is $50 million in the back. They just wanted to eliminate the little villa in the front. So that's the kind of money that you're talking about. We have stories of people laying down Italian marble tiles, maybe about $3 or $4 million of tiles. And the wife coming home and saying, well, I saw my neighbor had almost the same looking tiles, take it all up and put down some other different color. It's just how it is. And it's not because we are wealthy, it's because they are extraordinarily wealthy. The people who invest in the island are extraordinarily wealthy. It doesn't mean that everybody at Barbados is that way. But that's the time when the tourists are there and the prices are a little bit hot because nobody puts anything away at that time because if the wealthy can afford it, so they'll buy it. The best time to me is when the tourists don't see the island at its best, when it's in summer. Our summer is from June to November. In June and November, the water is flat, beautiful, like the video that you saw. In November to April, the water is choppy, but the tourists don't know that because that's all they've ever seen. And the carnival, the street festival, is on in July. And that's when you put on your smallest clothes and you go in the street and you dance with the rest of everybody. It's a party every night, all night for 2 months.
Wow. Wow. I think before we get to the vote of thanks and the final niceties, I will allow Irene, simply because it's Irene, to put in her question.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. And Ambassador Alex, we're delighted that you got to join our club. Because it's almost time for us to wrap up, I just wanted to ask if somebody wanted to explore how to do business further in Barbados. In Kenya, we have websites like Can Invest and Chamber of Commerce and things like that. What's the first port of call that you would advise anyone looking to, especially investments to do with finance? What websites would you advise?
Right, so typically the first port would be me. But there's Invest Barbados, INVEST Barbados, which also directs people to the resources that they will need in terms of investing in finance and financial services. It's wonderful. I'd also want to just say that despite our ability to party and to drink rum and so on, we are very conservative. We are the most conservative place in the world, I think.
That's a contradiction, right?
Huh?
That's a contradiction.
It certainly is. That people don't understand that when we dance and when we have a little drink and we party, it doesn't mean that our conservatism goes out the window. As I say, Anglicanism is very strong. The church is very strong. Having said that, the oldest synagogue in the Western Hemisphere is there. So there's a Jewish synagogue, Hindu temples, Muslim mosques, and 1,000 denominations of Christianity, from Catholicism to Anglicanism to Pentecostalism, Methodism, Moravianism, everything that is stirring. We have Quakers, which are friends here, and so on. So whereas we have a very tolerant society, we're the people who line up. We're the people who line up for the bus. We're the people who believe that you must follow the rules. We're the people who think that if my door is shut, it doesn't mean you can open it. So there's a very, very conservative street, which I sense in some Kenyans, they have a very modest, Kenyans like to party, but it's very modest at times as well. So in that way, we're sympathical.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rotarian Alex. We definitely have come to an end of our meeting today. I'll just make a few announcements and then go through the formalities at the end of with the final toast after the vote of thanks that will be given by my classmate President Lily Mbogo from Karatina. Choice of participation in this is deliberate because you are the ambassador to Kenya, and we want and Rotarian, and we want to ensure that you are known and you know Rotarians outside Rotary Club of Nairobi, so that your Rotary experience in Kenya is pleasurable. I will start with an announcement that the DCA, thank you for the Rotarians signing up for the DCA and the RI. And when Beatrice mentioned about the sand, we have about 600 Rotarians from Ethiopia, South Sudan, Kenya. I'm not sure we have from Eritrea, which basically covers your jurisdiction. In Diani, from the 12th to the 15th, I saw one powerful district Rotarian here called Saum. Probably Saum, that would be a good platform for Rotarian Alex to introduce himself to Rotarians in the district. But beyond that, I think given the opportunity, he can give the same presentation at the district. For Houston, am I pronouncing it properly? because I'm from Western Kenya and P's and D's give us a problem. But what I want to say is thank you for those that are signing up. We are open to help for any problems that you might be facing. Finally, our next week fellowship will be in the evening, and it will be jointly with the Rotary Club of Peponi, Nairobi Peponi, and other clubs I've not mentioned there. It's an extremely excellent presentation by an underwater filming guest speaker. So I look forward, and it will be a hybrid meeting. Those that can attend physically and those that will be online. I look forward to full Rotary Club of Nairobi participation. I want to thank my classmate presidents, Eric Ombok, Siokimau, Lily, Karatina, President-elect, Hilda. Embakasi actually have turned our meeting into their meeting. There are so many Rotarians from the Rotary Club of Embakasi. I'm encouraged. Thank you very much, and congratulations. And for supporting me on this particular, when you have 40 people engaged in fellowship, it makes that fellowship warm. Thank you very much for turning up in great numbers. Over to you, President Lily.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Can you hear me? Yeah,
yes,
thank you
yes,
so
we can hear you.
Thank you so much, classmate Gideon, for having me here and to share a vote of thanks. I don't think I'll be able to do it justice because definitely
we're losing you. We're losing you.
Here and the Mount Kenya, where you installed me. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, yes. Go ahead.
I just want to say thank you for having me in your presentation today, President Gideon. And I'm actually sitting at where you installed me, near the mountain. But mine is to really say a special thank you to the ambassador, Rotarian Alex. You really opened our minds to what Barbados is and what it has, the history for sure. Just by you talking, I got to learn so much more than I thought I knew. The commitment you have to share with your country and ours is definitely felt. I mean, we can see you're here to really have a synergy between you and us, and that is very recommendable because I'm sure with a great club like Nairobi Club, there'll be very many openings. I can already see Dr. Gevanga trying to book a flight, but all I can say is thank you so much for your presentation, for your great stimulating presentation, and I'm sure we'll be seeing much more of you, not only in Nairobi. I'm sure the roads are opened and you can always visit us on this side of town. For me, I'll just end there because it's just an appreciation for all that we learned from you and for the things that Rotary can share around the world, from your corner to our corner to everywhere, to be able to listen to you and just be of understanding. And with all that Rotary does, it is really nice to share, to share issues that we feel like we are still true Rotarians, whichever corner you are, we share a common goal. Thank you so much. And thank you, my president, again, Gideon, classmate. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. We've had extremely robust discussions on chat. Honestly, I just can't keep up, but it just shows the robustness of our presentation today and the engagement from the membership. Thank you, my classmate, president and charter president of Athi River, Njoki Kiama. I said Eric Ombok, Siokimau, past president Juvenal Shiundu West. I would urge all of us to charge our glasses. If we don't have glasses, let's put our right hand to the chest and recognize all of you that have come for fellowship today, our guests. Yes, Eileen, I have your number now. I'll call you so that we can finish this unfinished business. Toast your glasses together in conjunction with the Rotary Clubs of Barbados, Athi River, Siokimau, Westminster West, Karatina, Hurlingham, and Bakassi. And the Rotary clubs of Munyonyo, Muthaiga, I give you Rotary the world over. Thank you very much. God bless. I forgot our own club, Rotary Club of Nairobi. I don't take it for granted that you create time to attend your own fellowship. God bless you. Thank you very much. Ritesh, what do we do with the notes on the chat? What happens to them? They disappear, or once we've saved, they'll be there?
I think, no, they can be saved separately.
Please save them separately, because I've seen very nice conversations here. I can create an excuse to go to Alex's place so that as we discuss this, I enjoy the RAM. Please help me, help me. Thank you. God bless you. See you, guys.
President Gideon, we need to ask Alex to include the carnival in his government-to-government collaborative program. So we can export the carnival. Yeah, export the carnival, bring it to Kenya.
Wait and see. Give me.
Alex, I've added that to our drinking, RAM drinking session. We'll discuss and report to the club. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you very much, President. Thanks all my members for your kindness.
Thank you. God bless you. Now, what happens to Ritesh who doesn't take RAM?
What happens to Ritesh who doesn't take rum is Kenyan coffee.
Oh, yes. That one, we can carry along to the meeting with the...
No, it's a wonderful thing you do to that coffee.
Right.
You add a little rum to it.
Yeah, call it Irish Kenyan coffee.
Right.
Bajan coffee.
Oh yes, Bajan.
Colleagues, thank you so much. I have to run. I'm going back to the event now. Thank you.
All the best.
You're most welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your help, Ritesh. I appreciate it.
Thank you. That's a beautiful video. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's a lot I'd like to show you, to show the club, because the architecture and also, the interesting DC.
Okay.
Bye-bye, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was a wonderful meeting. President Gideon, well done. Yet another fantastic meeting.
Thank you. And thank you, Rina, for all the work she does behind the scenes. Thank you, every one of you. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. It was good.
Thank you.